Hi, I'm Lisa Smith, and I'm the Deputy Director at Neighbors in Need. We operate 13 neighborhood food pantries in Greater Lawrence area, serving Lawrence, Methuen, and Andover. Last week, 1,400 families got help through our food pantry. This is up from the 800 families we served each week prior to the COVID-19 pandemic. We also help up to 400 families each month at our diaper pantry, where families can get supplies of diapers, infant formula, and other goods. Last spring, as businesses were pausing or working remotely to help slow the spread of COVID-19, Neighbors in Need knew that we were an essential organization, and we quickly converted our food pantries to operate in outside locations. We created grab-and-go food bags, and we created a robust food delivery program so that families who were sick, in quarantine, or at high risk get the food that they needed. We also converted our diaper pantry to an all-delivery model. We know we are an essential organization, and our essential workers are volunteers. Neighbors in Need staff provides a framework through which volunteers do the bulk of our mission. We have volunteers now working in our warehouse in small socially distanced groups, 2 or 3 shifts a day. We have a volunteer who works one at a time in our office packing diaper packages. We have one volunteer who regularly checks our voicemail, and another who creates diaper delivery routes for us each week. Still, others help in our food pantries and with picking up donations of food and diapers. Our volunteers are all ages and from all backgrounds. We have families who volunteer together. We have teens who spent their summer volunteering in our warehouse. We have newly retired volunteers. Volunteers from area churches and local businesses and funding organizations. We have volunteers from Scouts groups and many, many more. Over 225 volunteers have helped at Neighbors in Need since the end of March. Many of these volunteers for the first time. Some help for an hour, some help for a day, some help for many hours each week. We're grateful for all their contributions. And thanks to their community service, we have packed over 32,000 food bags and made 4,000 food and diaper deliveries. When you ask me what I'm thankful for this Thanksgiving, I will say that I'm thankful for these Neighbors in Need essential workers and their thousands of hours of community service. In this long COVID-19 winter, these selfless individuals, our volunteers, have been my spring and summer. They have given me hope through long days of hard work, and have shown me even in the darkest, worst times, there is so much good in this world. I'd like to say thank you to all of our volunteers and all that they have done for Neighbors in Need, because they are our organization and they have made us what we are and what we do. Thank you, and happy Thanksgiving.
My name is Sharon, and I'm a member of First Calvary Baptist Church in North Andover. My husband, Glenn, and I have 3 boys, aged 16, 17, and 19. I don't know a lot, but I do know that none of us have ever entered into the Thanksgiving season in a pandemic before. This is a first for all of us. I also know that all of us are carrying some sense of loss into the holiday this year. Some of us are experiencing the loss of the holiday traditions. We won't be able to gather with our families, have the big meal that we're used to, play football in the yard, run the 5K in the morning. None of that is possible, and we're feeling the loss of tradition. Others of us have lost our jobs, and we are experiencing economic hardship, and we feel that loss as we enter into Thanksgiving. Others of us have compromised health. Maybe our physical, mental, or emotional health has been compromised with all that we've been through. And others of us are grieving the loss of someone we loved who has passed on. We are all experiencing loss right now. So I've been reflecting on how one moves from a place of loss and grief to a place of thanksgiving. And I think there are 3 things we're called to do as people of faith. The first is we're told that in everything give thanks. So even when we're not feeling like it, we still need to be thankful. The second is we are told in Scripture that God is always working behind the scenes in our pain to bring it to something good for our purpose and for His purpose. And finally, I remember a favorite passage in Ecclesiastes that reminds us for everything there is a season. And we are not in the current situation permanently, but there is a good season behind this one. Now, I'm speaking from experience because I have in the past moved from a place of grief to a place of thanksgiving, relying on those three things that I just mentioned, and I'll just share that story briefly. My middle son was born with Down syndrome. We didn't expect it at the time. It took a season that was supposed to be happy, the birth of a child, and plunged us into great grief. We were very sad at the time. When he was 10 days old, we needed to take him to Children's Hospital for surgery. The doctor came to us before surgery and asked us to hold our son one more time, saying that he didn't know if he would be able to survive the surgery, that he may not come back out of the operating room, and he wanted to give us a chance to say goodbye just in case. Well, I realized in that very moment what it meant to give thanks in every situation, because suddenly the Down syndrome and the disability didn't mean very much because I was so grateful that we were alive, that we had breath, and I realized that I could easily give thanks to God for this life, and I really wanted it to continue, and he's 17 now, so that worked out well. But in that moment, I was able to pivot from grief to thanksgiving very quickly. The second point is God has used our grief and our loss for our good and for the good of others. We have met families who are just starting out on their journeys as parents of children with disability. We've been able to share our experiences with them, our sense of loss, our sense of grief. And by listening to where we were and where we are now, we have been able to encourage many families forward. I'm happy to say that. And finally, I don't speak to you this evening as a mother who is grieving or experiencing loss. I am a mother who is very joyous. My son is 17 now. He is the greatest thing in our lives. He brings us so much joy. He gives us meaning. He gives us a new perspective. We are now in the season of great Thanksgiving. And so that's my story on how we moved from grief and loss to Thanksgiving. And I wish you and your family a very happy Thanksgiving this year.
Hi, I'm Dave Means. My wife, Cheryl, and I are parishioners at St. Paul's Episcopal Church in North Andover. I also work for the American Red Cross as a senior director and a volunteer. And this Thanksgiving season, when I think of volunteers and people that I'm thankful for, I turn to two groups that are heavily involved with the American Red Cross. Blood donors are the first. You may not know, but every day, 7,000 units of platelets are needed across the United States. And red blood cells, 36,000 units are needed every day. As you probably also know, there is no such thing as artificial blood. Blood transfusions must come from human donors. Those individuals that give a generous donation of their blood on a regular basis to ensure that hospitals in the United States have the blood that is available. It's known that every 2 seconds in the United States, someone needs a blood transfusion. And without these generous donors, patients would not survive. It's important for surgery, it's important for chronic illness, it's important for cancer patients and trauma patients. Without those donors, we'd be in a very big trouble. The other group that I'd like to recognize is on the humanitarian and disaster aid services of the American Red Cross. These are individuals like you and I that have had special training through the Red Cross, both in sheltering and food services. They travel to areas of disasters across the country to make sure that people affected by things like all the hurricanes that we've had this year, flooding, wildfires out in California, that people have a safe place to spend the night, and oftentimes several weeks in shelters set up by the American Red Cross. There is no other organization like the American Red Cross in the United States, and the way it works when we have these disasters is totally due to the volunteers that give of their time and talent. Imagine being asked to leave your family during this time of COVID to travel across the country, live in a shelter, and take care of others. It's a very generous donation of time and talent, and the Red Cross is very thankful for these volunteers. So as we struggle through this time of COVID, blood donations are terribly important, and disasters, natural or otherwise, continue to happen. And for those donors and the volunteers on the disaster side, I am truly thankful. Enjoy your day.
Hello, my name is Mary McHugh, and I'm the Executive Director of Civic and Community Engagement at Merrimack College. I am giving thanks this year for our friends in the Merrimack Valley community. Every day, my students and I watch in awe as organizations such as Lazarus House, Bread and Roses, Manos Feliz, and the Boys and Girls Club work tirelessly to help others. I'm also grateful to the Merrimack College students for being willing and able to pitch in wherever and whenever we ask them to. I am thankful to our community partners for always focusing on the common good. I am thankful for the resilience of this community and for the grace and the patience of all during this challenging time. Happy Thanksgiving.
Hi, I'm Barbara. I work with the chapel. I am very grateful to be here.
Hi, I'm Aaron, Director of Emergency Services for the Holy Family Emergency Department. And the one thing that I'm grateful for in 2020 was the birth of my daughter Riley back in May.
My name is Sheila, and what I am thankful for this year in 2020 is that I have two great daughters, and they are wonderful, and I'm exceedingly grateful for them.
And I'm thankful for Sheila.
Oh, God.
Hi, this is Chaplain Dom at Holy Family Hospital. This year I am thankful for my wonderful family, friends, and loved ones, and especially for all the things I have taken for granted, especially before this COVID crisis. I'm also very thankful for the wonderful staff here at Holy Family Hospital that take care of us when we really need them.
Hi, my name is Isaac, and I'm thankful for having my family together in 2020.
My name is Ed, Chaplaincy Director at Holy Family Hospital. What I'm grateful for this year is God's continuing grace. My family, my health, the prayers of so many people who have supported this hospital, and for each new day.